You're listening to the Arcane Focus Network.
How about I'll ask the questions then.
All right. You can MC this part of the.
I'll MC this part.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, I
I'm
like
done
emceeing
running
stuff.
things.
I wrote this one, but on behalf of Mari.
Thank you very much.
What was in the zoo at Tabrid Minor?
I must know.
So
Zombie
those who-
animals.
zombie animals.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
thought so.
Like
Yeah.
just
And
all
you
kinds
planned-
of weird and
you
wacky
planned-
things. You're like,
No, see, I'll say what I'll say now. I'm gonna get into this in a little bit more detail later, but not everything was fully fleshed out on Tabard Minor because it was too big. But for the zoo, when you guys started talking about it, then I started thinking about it. And what would have happened was, as you were like on your approach, you had been walking along and things started to get a bit more muffled, a bit more quiet. Walking along and the ground's getting kind of sticky and you're like, what the hell is this? And you're looking around and suddenly you realize there's these huge webs around the place. And then before you know it, zombie spider.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
Yeah.
That would have been
and
good.
then,
I would
yeah,
have enjoyed that.
get into the zoo. Definitely would have been a zombie gorilla.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which
or the
I
space
mean,
equivalent. A space
Yeah.
gorilla.
No, I think there's like gorilla type
Sarsaparilla.
creatures in
That's the best kind.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what would have been at the zoo. So
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad I
Good
know.
answer.
Did you have maps or anything for any of these other locations?
no, it was
Or
on
were
a
you like preparing
as-needed
those?
basis.
Yeah.
It was on an as-needed basis. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, next one. So, if everyone casts their minds back to the earlier episodes when we were running errands, basically for Ferrari and Calderon, and dropping things off, and there was a bunch of interactions we had kind of on Castrovel, was it? Where the
Akiton.
No,
Hackathon,
Akaton.
sorry.
Yeah.
So the question is, could we have uncovered or learned more about Calderon's plan in those early episodes when we were running errands for him? Like, was there NPCs we could have talked to or clues we could have uncovered that would have given us more of a clue about what was going on earlier?
My straight up answer to this is I don't know. Because whilst there was a story that you guys were playing through, you were playing through it in your own way. So I wasn't really, I put the offers out there and, you guys accept them, you don't, whatever. But yeah, if you had have spent more time and if you had have dug, I don't know, maybe you could have. Like, I don't know.
If we had spent less time joking about mummies and more time trying to uncover the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This next one was this is another one from me that I was curious about. I felt like while we were traversing above ground in Tabrid Minor, it felt like slow going. It felt like there were zombies everywhere. It felt like our cars were running out of petrol and we were getting blocked everywhere. And it was generally a hard slog going over ground. And then, Tom, I felt like there was this moment where you almost had to beat us in the face with a reminder that there was a subway, and we were like, "Oh, we should go into the subway." And then it was like, "Oh, boom, we're in the fucking, where the refugees are and all that sort of stuff."
Yeah.
Was that a deliberate thing where it was like we had to get to the underground in order to sort of advance through, or could we have kind of battled our way over ground, but it would have taken 70 episodes or something?
Yeah, you could have done like whatever you wanted to. Essentially, it's the offer's there. When you guys have your discussions and you talk about what you might want to do, I listen to that and then put out offers that might relate to that. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you could have definitely gone overground and traversed it. Actually, part of me is disappointed that you didn't spend more time above ground because I actually have a very, I have 2 or 3 separate random tables that
Yeah, for what you can run into.
Yeah,
or-
for things that you might run into. Some are dangerous, some are not dangerous, some are just like features and things like that. So I didn't actually get to use that all that much.
That was
Okay.
going to be my follow-up question to that. Like, did you have anything specifically prepared for us to keep like traveling over ground?
No, it's just like the idea was you would have passed by bigger things, you would have seen stuff, you would have encountered things. Like the story kind of would have just made itself up as you went along.
Were there any other types of zombies?
No, just the ones that you guys were introduced to. Well,
Like, were you going to throw in other random, like space races, you know,
oh yeah,
or like bigger, like more behemoths, or just things that vomit on you or
yes,
throw their arms or something? I don't know.
Yes. Short answer, yes. I have. Yeah, so there are a few different types. So I've got some stat blocks here, as I named them: skeletal zombie, shambler, hunter, breaker, allied, Ben, swarms, and
Is there a smoker in there? Did you just lift this all from Left 4 Dead?
no. Yeah, so there was a few different types. So say, for example, in the car park, the fancy boy, the fast one, he was a hunter zombie. So like they're considered intelligent. They're more like clickers in Last of Us.
Yeah, they won't just run after movement. They'll actually stop and assess the situation.
As you found out, they were actually quite deadly. And there were certain areas where, that heat map I described when you guys were in the refugee camp, that actually exists. I have one of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's what I would use when you guys went into a certain area, then you would encounter certain types of zombies. So,
Yeah, that's
and there was
very
like
cool.
different swarm strengths as well. So like the swarms you guys got in the car park, I think was only a medium swarm. But there was a large, and I think there was a gargantuan as well.
Wow. That's like instant death party.
Well, good thing we went underground.
Yeah, they can be pretty bad because essentially what happens is once you're grabbed, it's very difficult to get out. And as they move, you get pulled into the center.
Yeah, wow.
But then the benefit would have been if they keep moving, you actually come out the other side. If they're going to attack you as long as you're in there. But then you make it to the other side, and you can kind of get out from the other side.
Yeah.
But the closer you get to the center, the more the damage dice increases as well.
Yeah.
You guys
That's
luckily didn't encounter that at all, but yeah, that was a thing. So
I know this next question is one that we've asked constantly through the campaign, and we've given Murray a lot of shit about.
It's
but
referenced many, many times.
many
gosh,
times.
it
But
has,
for
hasn't
those
it?
who don't remember, when
let's
we took
relive it again,
when we
shall
took
we?
the job to deliver the medicine to Tabard Minor, the job that was meant to make us all filthy rich, as we were coming out of drift space, Mari got asked to roll some perception rolls.
Yes, I
Wasn't it
did.
during? It was like I
Was
feel
it
like it was
during or-
three different
We just
times.
came
'cause
out
it took
of...
us like no, that's when we
You're right.
blew
There was
up, but-
more than one
Yeah,
roll
there was like
down.
three
That's a really
times
good
because
point.
it took us like 2 weeks to get through the drift to get there, right?
Yeah.
So then, you like I feel like you were asked at least 3 times to roll these perception checks, and each time
And
it was
all of
like
them
11.
very low.
Yeah,
Very low.
might have only been
Very
2,
low.
but
But the question is, if what would have happened if Mari actually got high enough perception rolls before the ship blew up? Would we have detected it was going to blow up? Would we have somehow been able to save the ship?
this. I know we'd said we'd
This
get
is-
through some
this
of
is
these
how the
questions
sausage
quickly.
gets made, guys.
But this is actually a really, really big one. And not so much the content, but the implications for the rest of the show. So I'm not always the world keeps on functioning as you guys do stuff. I sometimes am, but sometimes I'm not. In the sense that it's like, oh, well, let's take a detour and go over here. It's like, well, the bad guys' plans are still going. It's like, yes, I conform to that. Absolutely, I do. But in this circumstance, I was so... I mean, it was essential to the story that you guys kind of... At that point that you were committed to going to the planet, you needed to be on there, right? And you needed to encounter this thing. So it actually would have been a completely different experience. The timeline would have actually been different. And...
Wait, so hang on. So you're saying if the perception rolls are high enough, we would have had a completely different... timeline and experience.
So that's,
that's
like,
on the planet.
That's where it splits. Like the result, like that's not necessarily. She wasn't even looking for bombs at that point. It's just like whatever he had a DC in mind, and if she doesn't hit it, that's where that's where this branches off into a different timeline.
But the DC was probably so high because Tom wanted to run a zombie thing.
I'll when you guys are answering questions, I'll see if I can look for it and find it because they're spread across several documents. But
I don't think we should give Mari shit because I don't think it's Mari that's the reason why everyone was on the ship. The reason why we were all on the ship that was bombed was because Dan made a choice not to talk to everyone about a crucial moment that the entire crew had, which was the only contact that we had in the game aside from the one that got us the job, warning us not to do the job, and then not telling the rest of it. Like, beyond anything, it probably would have given Mari advantage on perception checks if she was aware that something weird is up. But no matter what, I rolls are rolls. But the active choice to me as a player is no, who we should be giving shit for crash landing is Burzin. It's 100%.
I thought so too.
It's
but
there's no other.
He gave me so much shit.
We wouldn't have gone on the
Definitely
ship,
Mari.
or we would have inspected it, or we would have dug further into it, or we would have done way more other things than just get on the ship. That's just
we would have swept it or something.
Especially
for sure.
about that.
But why do you think I have been the main driver of the narrative that it's all Mari's fault? I'm trying to cover the tracks.
Do you know what I love
bitch.
about that? Do you know what I love about all of that the most? And I've remembered this, which is, as you all know, I've got no memory at all, so it says a lot. But I remember, can't remember if we did it on mic or not, Dan. But when we were talking about it afterwards, you were like, guys, I'm really sorry. I've been fasting for the last 12 hours because I'm on some weird diet and my brain wasn't thinking and I was tired and grumpy and I just didn't realize what was going on when fucking Ferrari called me with the warning. So I love that the fact that you were on some weird 1 meal a day fasting diet type thing set us all off on this path of not discovering the bombs on the ship.
And then you just blame me.
Yeah.
Thanks, bitch.
Convenient scapegoat.
Hey, everyone needs a scapegoat, right? But I genuinely thought that Ferrari was calling me not even as a warning to say don't do it because we're going to bomb it. It's we wanted the contract sort of thing.
Yeah, but that you could have asked more questions. You literally were just
or consult with the crew.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Burzen's. That wasn't Burzen's.
Sure. Never. Yeah.
What's it called?
MO.
Modus operandi.
Modus operandi. Yeah, that wasn't his MO at the time. It was.
Yeah.
I'm the captain. I make the decisions for the crew, and I want to make this money. So, and they'll benefit out of it. So, all good.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Edgecop.
Making this call whether my blood sugar's low or not.
Yeah.
so how Tabard Minor would have differed was you would have arrived and delivered the cargo, but as you deliver it to the city center, that's when the outbreak would have started and you guys would have been caught in the middle of it.
In the middle.
Wow.
As it kicked off.
Cool.
And
That
so you would have been
really cool.
Yeah, so it would have been a completely different experience. But as well, at that point, there would have been a bit of a faction as well. So the rich Capaxi who were trying to be protected. They're getting all the medicine and all that sort of stuff. And then there's like a bit of an uprising happening because like the poor ones aren't getting their medicine.
Shit.
So
might we have been able to get off the planet? Might we have been able to get off the planet much faster because there was already ships all leaving and we could have just like jumped on a ship and fucked off, sort of thing?
Or had ours work?
Maybe. I mean, you're in the middle of a city. Why would there be an interstellar craft just sitting right there? You know what I mean? You still would have needed to get to that. And I think it potentially would have been more difficult to move through the city because, it would have been mayhem. Fucking mayhem.
Yeah.
The opening scene of Dawn of the Dead versus, season 10 of The Walking Dead. It's... Yeah, trying to survive that day one. Just that would have been insane. So yeah.
I actually really liked the way it was introduced a bit more slowly, because like we crashed out in the wastes, and then we made it to that outpost, and just the trudging down like through the coral and the sea, like the way you described it with the green sky, and then. When we make it to the outpost and you can hear the sound of the tarpaulin in the wind against the cyclone fencing.
Yeah.
Just it's so vivid in my mind. It's awesome. And then like you hear the thumping inside the car and Astra opens a door and Buzz is like, stop, and then just starts shooting.
Yeah.
It's I really enjoyed the introduction to it, and I got so excited that we're on a zombie planet from that point.
Yeah. Me too. As soon as I realized it was zombie themed, what was going to happen, I was very excited too. I didn't realize how long it would go on for. Like, not that I didn't enjoy it, but I sort of thought, this is like more like a minor stopover on the way to kind of some bigger shit. But the way that that was like half of the
adventure
season, I thought was quite cool. Yeah. All right, we'll keep going. So
yeah, I'd hope so.
What was the original game plan for Brandon before we adopted him?
Before you adopted him, nothing. He'd just get off the ship and continue on his merry way. Yep.
Hang out in Castrovel. See you later.
Can I ask, what do people think of the fact that we adopted him? Do you think that was a good part of the story, or do you think that was just overcomplicated?
It gave good RP moments.
Yeah.
But I like it. It can be annoying as a GM to play an NPC like that. That's just constantly around the party.
In the party.
The crew, because we didn't really have a real like long convo when we created our characters prior to starting, and I was really focused on playing someone because I just played in a campaign with Tom where I was like, murder, like I will murder anyone. It was a home game, right? And so I was committed to, in the new game, to playing someone morally good, won't kill even if given an opportunity, like would love to just resolve things peacefully, and just like a good-hearted person. And when we jumped into the first few sessions, it became very apparent that like we don't really gel as a crew. I don't know how Tiny like got onto the ship and was kept on the ship. Either way, like he was there. And so when Brandon was introduced and then kept, it became such a thorn for Tiny because it was this young person that was so eager to do whatever the fuck the captain wanted, which was another vote for mayhem, murder, like immoral things that Tiny felt that truly pissed, I think, like really like pissed Tiny. There was like this element of like, well, another person's against, and this kid doesn't know shit, he's younger than me or whatever, and like he's just going for, it just felt like Tiny might have had like an offer of maybe we could be a conscience, or like that might have been some kind of a push and pull. But the minute it became 3 versus 2, or really 3 versus 1 and 1 abstention on most decisions, it became so difficult, I think, for me as a character, or like Tiny being in there to like have that opinion, because then it just felt like he was nagging, and I hated those conversations after a while when it was like, maybe we shouldn't do evil or murder or stealing or some shit. You know what I mean? But so from my perspective with adopting Brandon, it felt so much like it made it for me. It felt like it made it harder to be be my guy in what I was hoping to do, and kind of made Tiny compromise a lot, which kind of felt rough, but it was an interesting adventure to go on, like to feel like someone who's like trying to pull people into a direction and then not being able to. So it was an interesting experience, but I think that showed up a lot in how I like how Tiny, when I was playing Tiny, treated Brandon, which was like, fuck you. like truly fuck you for, turning this into like a huge, like a super majority and also for like usurping a place of like, I guess youthful energy and all that kind of stuff. So there was an element of that made me feel like, and there might have been a world where Tiny wasn't so morally like white hat, in which he would have taken Brandon under his wing more and been like, let me show you the ropes, bro. Like I'm your big bro or some kind of shit like that. But it wasn't in, it would have required a real retooling for the character from my perspective. And I don't think it didn't feel, right to suddenly be like, you know what? Tiny's down to murder.
Well, I mean, because we really made these characters in a vacuum. Like, all we got from Tom was, you guys, delivery guys. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
No,
well,
we got a
very good document.
We had a great world packet from Tom that explained what we were doing. I thought, like, welcome to EdgeCard. It was really funny, really cool. Loved it. I totally loved all that shit. But then in that world, I even wrote to Tom. I wrote my job application to EdgeCard. That was my character bio, was my job application. So into everything. But we did it independently of each other. So that was a very interesting thing. When our first session together, our first practice session, we're starting to get to know each other, and then the real first session of the game. Truly, when we had to start making choices, it became very apparent that they were like, "Oh, people view our jobs differently." You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Well, we did 2 practice sessions.
Yeah.
So, which actually, the first one of which we played through the first third of the Fly Free or Die adventure path.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was actually before Mark and Mari had their good mics. So so their audio is like real tinny, but our audio is good. And I still have that, but I don't have the original Audacity files, so I can't mess with it. I've only got an MP3 version, so it is what it is. I think like that'll be perhaps released on a, maybe a future Patreon thing or something. Hey, who knows?
Yeah. If you want to pay for it.
Yeah. But
you can get this.
A bit of an Easter egg, but also definitely going to release the second of those episodes, which was when you guys went to Verces.
Yeah, the split planet.
You were in the bar, and then there was actually some space combat in there as well.
Yeah.
That was a fun.
I have no memory of this planet.
Beyond everything, to what Dan said, my heart goes out to Tom, because it is not fun playing a character who can and does solve problems as an NPC, a DM NPC. It's got to be struggling, because it's like, oh, no one has mysticism? Guess what? This guy has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's a natural fit, but also like you don't want to be the one to solve your players' problems, because then suddenly it's less like they're playing and more like they're like living with you playing the game.
You're just forcing a story.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what that part of it wasn't actually too bad. There was only a few moments where I felt at the risk of like steering for you guys. The fact that he was young and often ignored or made fun of made it easier to not like give an opinion or something. But while we're on Brandon here, because I don't know if there's any more questions about him, Ben, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Ooh.
So, not obviously, like as I think the character of Brandon, because especially like when I handed him over to you guys, I had a large document about how
Yeah.
he felt
Me
about everybody.
specifically.
Yeah.
Well, that,
Yeah.
hey, I handed it over to you guys, and they handed it to you, Dan. So like that's a you problem.
Thanks, guys.
You do
Man, I
good
was struggling to
voices.
keep up with one character sheet, dude. Like,
Yeah. But so he was a legitimate character with thoughts and feelings and everything. And during the casino, when you guys had that little fight in the alley with the androids and the two Vesk, to me that was a Brandon and Tiny, because I mean Astra was like almost going to go, but then you're like, no, I'll go, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this will be like a team building moment, like maybe they can actually do this, like maybe there'll be a bit of an olive branch or something. But then Tiny just went the complete other way, and he was like, fuck off, get out of here.
Tiny only did that when fighting when it looked like it was going to be a fight. Prior to that, I honestly think if Brandon never approached Tiny, and I think Tiny was also just like so despondent at that point. I think by that point he went to the guy at the casino and was like, I want to give up my suite. I don't want perks. I don't feel good. I don't want to work for a crime boss. I really just want it to be like Joe labor, or not labor, like Joe do a good job,
driver,
like Rosie the Riveter style. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And so going out on that thing, yeah, I thought Brandon might approach Tiny, and maybe he would too. But then it became a combat, and then if it was a combat, Tiny already was like, he made the choice where like he should. I don't know. It's like when I saw that moment, I saw him thinking, I'm not gonna let this kid murder. If anyone's gonna murder right now, it's gonna be Tiny. And he had already killed so many people, like in the recent episodes. He was like, I'm not gonna let him be like what I feel. Even if he in my mind, I was like, he doesn't know the toll it's gonna take on him when he reflects on this. And if he can stop this from happening, that's why he immediately was like, get out of here. You're dead to me if you don't. Because it was truly like, you're gonna be the thing I don't want to be right now, and I'd like you to leave. And then he chose to stay, which I think infuriated Tiny of this feeling of like, I'm doing you a favor, and this might cost me everything to do you a favor. Yeah. But like, that's truly where he was at, where it was like, and then he stayed, and then even healed him, and it was like, I don't want to feel good after, it's like someone like helping you when you want to feel like he wanted to externalize that pain, right? With being knocked down, maybe barely, like even if it was like nearly dying at that point or something, there was an element of like, let me deal with this and you get out of this like ship.
That reminds me of a Poorly Drawn Lines comic where someone's like, I'm mad, and someone's like, here's a solution. He's like, I don't want a solution, I want to be mad.
Yeah exactly.
Just burns it. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting insight. Thank you.
Yeah. That's when I broached that subject with you of like, maybe Tiny might want to apply for apply to leave at some point. And it was also just a thought of like, he's not gelling super well with the crew, and these convos continuously happen where it's like, should we take a job that's a major plot point? Which like, I'm not dumb. I know structure of TTRPGs. I know when Tom goes, the biggest job of your life is right like on your doorstep.
He's not asking. Yeah, he's telling. Yeah.
There's like a moment where it's like, I could arrange this for you, but then like the way it's described is so the opposite of what Tiny was. There was an element of like, I could bring a different person into this mix, that might be more suited, and it's not impossible to write someone off of like a game. They can show up later or some kind of thing, and I didn't realize there was a deadline before we'd get marooned, but that's when I was offering like slightly. I was like, I like stuck my toe in the water like, hey, what if I was playing someone new?
Yeah.
One thing.
So you get stuck on a zombie planet.
Yeah. I haven't had anything to say about Brandon yet. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Add something.
Give us your perspective, darling. Yeah. Please.
Well, no, it's more of a question, because like it was Sawbones really that was like,
hey, I've just watched you witness your wife die. Join us, like be one with us. Here I am
around?
being but you and Burson, both of you were like, join us, we're gonna look after you, we're gonna take care of you. And then like the very next episode, you guys are just hassling him, and all three of you were just giving him shit.
Yeah,
but it wasn't just like a little bit of shit. It was like I didn't feel like hazing so much as like...
I mean, hazing is just bullying.
I agree, Mari.
Yeah, and I just...
uncalled for and excessive.
Were we all piling on?
Yes.
Tiny was definitely piling on.
Here's the thing.
Like Burson was just like, yeah, okay, you can come. He wasn't like super enthusiastic about it.
Mark loves...
No, you were like...
Mark loves to like throw bombs into any situation. Like that's his game plan.
Run away.
So the minute that Mark realized that Tiny didn't want Brandon on the ship, Mark was like, how do we make him on the ship? I could feel it. There's a moment when Tiny said,
your application
Tiny
form,
said, you're not a member of the crew because you haven't gone through the application process. And then the immediate reply was Mark saying, I'll help you do it. I'll sign the documents. We'll get it like speed run. So like, so that's why he the push. And then beyond that, the Mark, I think Mark also liked the idea. Like, I was like, oh, well, there's a game here of let's shit on Brandon. So then Mark's joining in, and then if Mark's joining in, then like Dan's joining in, like because it's just a bit. And so if you're wondering why we piled on, Tiny was mad. Mark wanted to join into the throwing shit, and I think Burson was like, fuck yeah, all right.
Yeah. But just
that's my take.
Like,
that's my hot take.
Beautifully.
Yeah, I didn't have anything against Brandon. It was just fun. He was a
you guys
DM NPC.
did.
We were able to just...
but like from a story point of view, like you had the whole like father moment with him about, come on kid, join our crew, I'll look after you, kind of dad-like stuff. And then,
I think that was
then
more
you
guilt
were just...
because Anya Hill had just been murdered,
Yeah, well, yes, but... Yeah, it might have been guilt, but you've gone on this really beautiful sort of like touching thing where he feels like welcomed and loved and finally like he's got a place where there's a father figure that actually wants him around, right? So he's just come from a planet where his dad literally doesn't want him around. Yep. And his wife has just died and you guys are like, join us, we'll love you, we'll care for you, you can be one of us. And then you're just like, get off the bridge, you suck, you can't do this, you're really shit here. And as a character that was, I couldn't see why that was happening so much, but I can see that from a character point of view, I don't get it. But from a Mark and Dan point of view, I do.
We learned to parent based on our experiences with our parents, right? And Burson
Barry
didn't have
was
a
a
great
bad dad?
relationship with
Barry sounded good,
He was
man.
the best dad
Barry
ever.
was the nicest guy.
Barry was good.
Played
he
catch
was a
with
nice
you.
guy, but
I agree. Baz sounded brilliant.
Takes you to the game.
From Burson's perspective, didn't want to borrow it. And that's what he had. That's the relationship he had to base his relationship on with Brandon.
Been a short campaign if Burson didn't go to military school. Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked
moment for Burson.
Yeah,
it was a fun moment for Daniel.
Yeah, when I was inviting Brandon on, and all that sort of stuff, that was totally just unplanned. I was just rolling.
So
with
that
it
was
sort
a
of
real
thing.
seat of his pants kind of situation.
Total seat of the pants. Did not think that he would be with us for the next 10 episodes or 15 episodes or however long it was. I was thought, Tom's never going to let this happen and he'll fuck off or something like that. But next minute.
Well, actually, I think
the minute he dies on a zombie planet.
Before you guys were, one of the questions or something we were talking about was choices that you guys were making. I think it was about the information. Like, could we have gotten more info? And that when I said, I don't know, that's a prime example of that. Because I had just assumed that you guys, it would be, it's all real sad. Let's drop them off and off they go. And then you just continue on with your jobs. But no, you guys want to keep them. So I'm like, okay, well.
Good one, Mark.
Let's roll with this. And I remember I was on a hike with Kieran and I was like, they're keeping this fucking NPC. What do I do? How, I need, should I just blah? Should I blah? And, we had this big talk. And there was a world where because I have different notes. In one of the original notes, he there was a world where after his death, he ascended and was in the same realm where Desna was. And like after the final battle, it's like, Desna's there and you see Brandon there and he's like, hey guys. But that was like a very early idea. But I think part of what stopped that was, I think for that, he would have had to have had a really close relationship with everybody on the crew for him to play such a pivotal role. And because of the razzing and the relationship with Tiny and stuff like that, it's like, I was like, I don't think it would fit to have him be that. So I still like the idea of him having a connection there. And it worked out really, really fucking cool because, Mari's Astra was all about Desna, and then there was these beautiful moments that these guys had, and it kind of, put these characters on this trajectory, and it worked out really nice, much, much better, I think. Yeah.
All right. So enough about Brandon. This is probably the question I'm most excited about. Maybe the second most. But I want to hear from every player and Tom. What was your favorite role-playing sequence from the whole campaign? Like when you think back of all of the just sort of like RP that we had between ourselves, what stands out for you as your favorite kind of bit? And I'm going to start with Mari.
Oh, there you go. And I'm going to start.
Well, that would have to be, I have never laughed as much as the fart gag in the Seren Ray. Like for me, just no joke.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
I have not laughed that much in as long as I can remember. I started crying. I laughed so much, and it's just the fart jokes for me were just hilarious. And I don't even think I could say anything because I was laughing so hard. That whole part was done without me. But you guys
hilarious.
all just sort of like
silly.
We had to stop and walk away for like 5 minutes.
It was just so good for me as a that episode left me feeling hilarious and good afterwards.
Shout.
Yeah,
it was
so mine was
sweet
very
though, right?
It's so silly.
Oh yeah,
so silly.
The fact that the priest was in on it is so dumb.
I love how we were wrecking ourselves for about 10 minutes about it as well. Like it wasn't just a one-off. I'm laughing just thinking about it.
That was a good one.
That for me, that was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Good shout.
So silly.
Good shout. All right, Ben?
I don't know, man. I think
The fart.
I think my favorite RP moment was getting to listen after it happened in the episode after Tiny died. I just thought that was fascinating to listen to because I didn't. I wasn't there for the recording, and it felt super weird.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
The way the edit worked out was because of the length of the fight and the post sessions and stuff. So the way the episodes pan out is the last 20 minutes of the fight there, and like Ben's present for that. But then I edited it in with the part where you guys get into the apartment as well. You run away and get into the apartment, and I put that into one episode. Ben wasn't actually there for all of that sequence, That
was fascinating. Right. And then beyond that, I guess for something I was involved with, I really loved getting to write those final recordings and to share them with you guys. That felt really nice. Yeah. Tom gave me the ability to like say bye as a character, which was really nice. And then felt cool. And I thought the order was naturally, because the order was in your hands, Mark. Like you had literally the order you decided to go through everything. Chaos. And you could have like deleted them all. You know what I mean? Like you could have done whatever you want. And it felt really nice to be able to share those things.
Yeah, I really like that too.
That was a moment for me. That's not my favorite bit of role play, but that's definitely up. That's one of the top two. Like, and the great. That's actually one of my favorite moments I've had in any campaign or role playing game ever, because for me, I know that you and Ben had obviously planned it out, Tom, but for me, it felt incredibly serendipitous. Like the fact that I was like, I've got some downtime. I've remembered the computer. I remember before we played, I was like, I picked up the fucking computer. I'm going to browse through it. and to sort of like be presented with the whole guess the password thing and all of that, and then getting in, like I had no idea that was going to unlock this whole, like basically the whole episode.
Yeah.
And to kind of just see it happen and then go, oh, okay, this is really fucking cool, and then lean right into it. Because I don't think you said much that whole episode, Tom. Like, I think that's one of the few episodes where you probably speak for 5% of the time, sort of thing. It's actually like almost an entire episode of role play just between me and Dan
but
and Murray.
he's more just like
Ben.
guiding.
Yeah, I was
where
just
the cut is
facilitating the
almost.
episode, you know.
Yeah. That was a really cool moment, just as an experience as a player for me.
Yeah, nice.
Tom, what was your favorite bit?
To bring it back around to Brandon, was at the casino when Sawbones came and had a chat with Brandon one-on-one.
Yeah.
That was my favorite bit of roleplay that I was involved. I mean, I was involved in all of it, I guess.
Most of it.
But yeah, I think because that was quite a special moment for that character, because somebody was finally giving him the time of day and giving a shit about him.
Yeah.
And was taking it seriously. Like, there wasn't any jokes or anything like that. And it felt like that character needed that to get through. Like, Sawbones just took it really seriously and was like, well, no, and hey, we can help you and all of this. And it was just, it was just beautiful. And I remember sending a message to Daniel, and I was like, fuck, man, like that music I put under that Sawbones and Brandon RP section is like the fucking best. It's my favorite. And he's like, yeah, all right, mate. Calm down.
Yeah, all right, mate. You tell yourself you did a good job.
Yeah. But but it is. And I really, really loved that moment. In terms of other RP stuff, I guess I'm involved in this too. But anybody who listens to Glass Cannon would know that they use flashbacks and stuff, and that's where I got the inspiration from. But for some reason, the Astra flashback,
I love that one too.
I love it. It's my favorite. I just love it so much. Yeah.
That one was very good.
Who wrote that? Was that you, Tom? Or Barry?
Yeah, that was me. But
Yeah, no, it was totally Tom. It came from my bio.
Yeah, that's it. Like, so it was like with yours, Mark, as well. Like, it came from your brain, your ideas and everything, and I just kind of put it into a format that would be suitable for the pod, you know.
Made us look good, Tommy. Made us look
you
good.
did.
Hey, you know.
Dan, lay it on us.
There's like the entire Reflections episode is just like
landmark.
That's some of our best work.
Yeah,
if I do say so myself. Like, it's hard to go past that. But the
that's the one that Ben was talking about, right?
Yeah.
With the
that whole I think
That's
it's like
so
episode
emotional.
27 or something. Like, just that whole journey, and especially we go through that, everyone is exhausted, but then at the end of that episode, when we're breaking down the barricade on the door, and the morning light, like the golden light, starts pouring in through the gaps. That's so vivid in my head as an image. It's hard to go past.
Yeah.
But there's a moment with Burzin and Brandon at the outpost after we kill the zombies, where they go to get some barrels or some fuel or something, and they just have a little interaction. And then anything between Burzin and Leia, I thought there was just either a lot of fun, or you can see there's real care there between the two characters.
The sexual tension was thick. You could cut it with a knife.
Carve that shit off. Carve off a
you
slice.
and Tom have got a man crush on each other.
Everybody knows that. That's no secret.
Yeah, what are you talking about? But then also, like, the interactions.
I said
between,
one, Dan. One.
Yeah, no,
you got to have
sorry.
one favorite. You got to take mine. I can tell what's happening here.
The interactions between Deacon and his parents.
I
loved all
loved
of
that. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that was really well done, Ben, actually. It felt really fleshed out in your head how the relationships were.
That was Tom mostly, I think. I think, Tom, I gave you like just some info. Like I said, he always calls this parent father, and he always calls us mad, and it was like very specific. And then Tom was like, "Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got it. I know these relationships."
Well, no, I was actually going to say that it was you because I feel like you gave me very clear notes, and I was like, okay, right, I can work with this.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's always like, just as a side note, it's always really, I get really nervous when I have to do stuff like that because I'm like, is this how they pictured it? They're trusting you with it, and it's like if you don't live up to it, it's like they're not going to be fully into it. I'm like, oh fuck.
I think it's less like improv, right? You got a yes and, or if it really is out of the box, if it takes you out of the thing, then maybe there's a situation where, I don't know, for me, if I would have been like, hey, could we pause for a second and be like, I feel like there's something happening. And I was hoping for a little bit of, or this is how I probably would have done that. If
I
it
just
really
didn't think my dad would be like, "Hi, Ashford."
I picture my dad would give me more loot. I just feel like my parents had this relationship with me where they give me all the cool items that are far above my level. Yeah.
I made some bad investments, and I got no more loot left.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like my dad. No. Can we talk about
that? Special mention to all of the flashback scenes.
Yeah.
They were all really
they were
cool.
fun.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah, they were.
It was fun when they started, when you didn't know it was going to happen. That was very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I remember and the Sawbones one came along and was like, oh, finally.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah.
So after hearing Dan's top 17 favorite RP bits.
There's more. That was the list.
Yeah. So I reckon mine.
Spaceship. No, what is it? The
he's
Psychology
still going.
101.
Number 18.
Psychology 101.
No, fuck you. I was just about to say that, you bitch.
All right, Mark, go on, tell us.
So all of the reflections, that's our best work. There's no doubt. Like all of that, all that other stuff's really good. No, it really is. That was fucking epic. But my favorite episode personally as a player was the space psychology episode early on. And part of the reason for it, there's probably 2 or 3 main reasons. The first is that I think that was fairly early on in the campaign, and I can't speak for everyone, but certainly I was still very uncomfortable with the recording and the podcast and the performing and like all of those sort of elements of the role play. I felt quite self-conscious, and I remember feeling that way for before that, and then we went into that episode, and it was one of those examples where we didn't talk about that episode beforehand. That was totally like I came in with this idea of wanting to have like a full fucking sit down psychology thing, and I was pushing it, and I could tell for the first like minute or two, like everyone else thought, oh, this is just a bit, we're not actually going to do this here, and I was like, no, we're fucking sitting down and having a fucking conversation about what happened. And I think everyone sensed it after the first like minute or two, and then everyone was like, oh cool, yes, and like I'm leaning into this, like we're gonna fucking build on it and it's gonna be cool. And it became kind of a whole episode in its own right. And so there was it was quite a cool conversation. It was quite fun, and everyone leading into it was great. But that gave me quite a lot of confidence. That was like a turning point in terms of my own confidence in the recording of the podcast and playing. And I think as a group of people who were playing kind of with each other, like that was a nice moment where we actually just went, no, we're going to go for a long bit of role play and we're going to build on it and all of those sorts of things. So that for me was a bit of a turning point. It may not have been the best kind of RP to listen to or whatever, but it was an important kind of moment, I reckon, in the podcast. In terms of how we were communicating and working as a team.
I give a shout out to Tom, because this is just from like running the game perspective. After that sequence, I remember it distinctly. I think that was the first time anyone ever got a token of inspiration, and it was given to you. And that's one of the things where it's like you can have those moments and it feels cool to do it, but then to have the GM recognize it and say it out loud, like memorialize it with a moment, and then later on be like, oh, I'm going to use this token that I got from that thing that we all felt, whatever. That's I'm just saying, like, a shout out to Tom for calling that out, because it's good. It's like good GM practice, you know what I mean? Because like I can see how you feel about that moment, but I think it's even more like established when someone calls it out and says like, that was awesome, you deserve a thing, to like commemorate it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So, what other options for getting off Tabard Minor were there? So the whole like win this ship in a prize competition thing seemed like a long shot. Like it seemed like we could have not discovered that or whatever. Like, is there other were there other ways off?
Yes. So there was the one at the convention center that was real. That ship was definitely there. There was also one if you had explored a little bit more, eventually you would have found like a luxury house, and there would have been like a panic room where there was a small one man like escape vessel sort of thing, and that would have been like the option there. It's like somebody could leave and go and get help and bring it back, sort of thing.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I had written down. So
it was just those three.
I'm sad that didn't happen. That sounds cool. I love the idea of a split podcast kind of thing where it's like, record your shit,
split the party.
You wouldn't know if you didn't tune in or to each other. Like the party wouldn't know if help was coming.
Yeah,
and that'd be really cool. Kind of sad that didn't happen.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how willing were you, Tom, to role play a sex scene between Dan and the Fox?
What does 1 mean?
1 means I am deeply unwilling to do this, and I cannot think of anything worse than having to role play a furry
I'm just slightly unwilling to do it.
10 means I've actually already recorded it, and I'm publishing it next week.
Yeah.
Probably like
and
a
same
4.
question for Dan.
What about
And then
you,
for
Dan?
us to listen to it. Yeah.
I'd be a 1.
You'd be a 1?
Not a sex scene, but like it was.
So what we can take from this is that Tom's a bit more keen than Dan on this interaction.
Hey, I'm just an open GM. Like I'm, if my player wants to do something,
You got to listen to what your players are comfortable with and what everyone at the table is comfortable with, and Dan is not comfortable, which is totally fair.
I picked up pretty early on that Dan was like, "I am not a furry."
Not for me.
Yeah.
He was like, he was not into Leia, like because she was a wolf. I think if Leia was not a wolf
or fox,
she was a fox.
I think if
she was a fox.
I think if she was like more
Dan was the
humanoidy, like Lashunta or something, I think
Hungry
it might
like
have
the
gone
wolf.
differently. That's just my personal feeling, though.
Well, I'm a 10 out of 10 for wanting to listen to it, boys, just for the record. So, if you ever overcome your weirdness, Dan,
you can
keep that in
do it
mind.
yourself.
You've got an audience.
You can do your own
Of one.
fanfic situation.
Maybe there's an OnlyFans in this.
Yeah,
I'd subscribe. So, Ben.
So what we've learned from this is that Mark is a furry, or at least
Hey, no, I'm just wide
he's
open,
into
bro.
furries.
I just, I'm up for anything.
It's more that he wants to listen to us. Read out a sex scene, Dan. He likes it. You're aroused by our voices, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't know this, Tom, but I just one track you and go to sleep to it, like those deep, velvety tones.
I actually have a friend who listens to the pod. Sorry, and he's like, I'm sorry, Tom, but your voice helps put me to sleep. I was like, that's cool, man. No worries. I have a comforting voice.
Such a positive spin on you sound boring that you just did then. That was great.
I
have a comforting voice.
I have a face
voice,
for radio,
so
mate. So.
All right, this is a question firmly for Ben. So, as the only player character to have your character die,
It's not true.
who?
Dan's character died, right?
Well,
this leads
true.
into the
But I
second
I know
part
what
of
you
the
mean.
question.
Sorry. I know what you mean.
fairness,
Mid-campaign. Yeah.
This
I just
question
don't
was
want
written
anyone to
before
forget
the
that
finale.
Dan failed to. I'm joking. It's not failure to die. I just thought.
Hey, I chose to. All right. That's
Dan,
different.
didn't you bring your new character along? You should be level 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll just.
No, please don't.
Sorry. Ask your
question is-
question. Yeah.
What are the pros and cons of being able to start a new player mid-campaign, and what is your reflection on your time as Tiny? How did you want to make Deacon different?
Well,
It's about
the
3 questions
con
in there,
is
Yeah,
sorry.
you
you're not
kind
allowed
of
to
went
make
over it, yeah.
a character as the stepdad of your another player. The
Imagine
pros
if
are
Barry had a shown
pros
up.
are you can kind of re-examine. What I did was I examined not what I thought the party needed in terms of like I know that was said a few
Mechanically.
times with Dan saying purpose-built character, but it really wasn't. Honestly, what I did was I kind of looked at the interactions we had.
Mechanically, it's what we needed that more than we needed. Like what we really needed was a soldier, right? Like if you really wanted to come in and like support us that way, you would have been a soldier or a Solarian or something.
What I just looked at the RP moments and how we acted as a group, and I felt that I just tried to like kind of take stock of what I felt was fun and what I felt mixed well a little bit to make it a little easier to slot someone into the group faster. So I knew immediately like the stuff that wasn't working right. This kind of super moral, lawful person felt like it wasn't going to fit. So that was the pro is that you can stop that kind of like the cycle and without needing character growth. And the con is like establishing you don't get a lot of the stuff that everyone else had near the end with saying bye to like Burson or saying bye to other characters or like I felt like we kind of established some dynamics of like friends and stuff. It was really nice, but I think if Tiny was in that scene in the end, it probably would have been more. It would have been harder probably to be like, no, like don't, the resolutions that you want to have and stuff like that. So I think that's the con is you can't really establish the person was there the whole time. So that's the hard part. But the fun part is like you got to create a whole new, stuff that you want, like new character, new stuff, new character who dis, all that,
Yeah,
that was fun.
like I said it on the podcast, but the way that you tied in the doomed future thing into the story,
That was cool.
Oh yeah, it was the least.
I love
least practical. Just in case anyone wants to play a precog, least practical one. If you're looking at like the list of what you could do as a precog, it's like down. I would vote it like lower. There are other ones I thought would be way more cool, but when I read it, and by that point we knew something really bad was happening with the flashback image, and so it needed to be something that would give him I was conscious of the fact that after Deacon found everyone, there wouldn't be a huge reason for this amoral person to want to stick around. And so I wanted to have something that connected him to the plot aside from these people are pretty cool, so
Let's hang out.
So that's why I chose that, honestly, was so that he wouldn't just like fuck off afterwards.
Bail.
Yeah.
So I think you made some good choices with Deacon.
Yeah.
Though it ended up being I think he ended up being more involved than I thought he would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was actually really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm
but
glad,
like
in the final fight, it could like kind of come around and like just give you that big info dump about the big bad mosquito and everything. Because nobody else would have been able to get that.
It was useful. It was nice, and also to get to like a killing blow on that mosquito thing felt nice resolution.
Perfect, man, perfect.
Good, fuck this thing.
Putting the thing that had terrorized you, your whole life to bed. See you later. This is done. Yeah.
And on the Tiny part of the question, was it? You've spoken about it a couple of times already, Ben, but was it almost a relief in some ways? Like you were talking a lot about how Tiny didn't fit and how hard it was and all of that sort of stuff. But was it a relief to kind of work that out?
No, I would have rather him leave on his own terms. You know what I mean? And I would have
That's a
rather
horrible way to die.
Figured out like the stuff between everyone in the crew, like the relationship wise stuff.
Do you reckon that's what would have happened? You would have gone on this like journey of reconciliation?
I don't know. I honestly think it's like it's hard to meet people halfway if you're the only one taking the journey to meet them halfway. So I think it's more like would the crew also meet Tiny as well? Because I think Tiny was ready to step up and be like, you know what? Yeah, I can be pretty sanctimonious about stuff. And then, but the other aspect is like, there are a bunch of moments where we're like, maybe we shouldn't do this. And then we reached like a weird detente, which was, I won't comment on your illegal activities. You won't force me to partake in your illegal activities. Like I'm not going to narc you. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather have him left like he probably would have left at the end of the thing. Well, he would have stayed for the big fight and all that stuff, but yeah.
Cool. So next question. Was it Glaunder from the start, or did that come about later in the adventure?
Later.
Yeah. So you didn't have the idea of Glaunder at the very start when you set out?
No, that was something that developed. Like, I knew it was going to be... I knew the disease stuff was going to happen and all of that, but the idea for Glaunder came about when, I think, once Mari started talking about Desna and everything, and then, like, obviously the introduction of Brandon and all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh, okay. And then I was, just doing research and all that, and yeah, it came up, and so I was like, oh, I think this might be a thing. So yeah,
yeah, okay,
that's cool. So, but did you have an idea for the big bad at all, or you were just kind of?
No, yeah, he was going to be doing it. Like, it was always down to Calderon, and it was always Ferrari.
Cool.
So this next one's probably going to be a long one. It's basically, Tom, can you completely open the kimono on the whole campaign? But what threads or hooks did you have out there that we didn't take? What were the big kind of, moments in the campaign or those forks in the road that we didn't stumble across?
No, you guys took the main things. There wasn't anything else really that was big.
Really?
The only things that you quote unquote didn't take is that you just went for these things. Could you have messed around and done other stuff? Absolutely. Could you have done some more randomized deliveries? Yeah, for sure. But you didn't. So I guess, yeah, that was it. I didn't need to plan for a lot of that stuff because you guys were taking you were taking the bait, as it were.
So were you willing to RP and set up random encounters for some of these other deliveries that we could have taken, or would you have hand waved them?
Yeah, dude. I have a with the Fly Free or Die adventure path. They include a whole delivery system. I took that, expanded upon it, and heavily modified it. And it's a several-page document that outlines delivery of goods and cargo and all that sort of stuff. I'd assumed that you guys might, well, A, you would move faster, and B, you would kind of make a few more deliveries and stuff like that, just to kind of cement your whole delivery sort of situation. And those, I guess the locations and the offers would have been based off of the kinds of cargo that you guys would have been delivering. So just to give a quick example of the kind of stuff, there was from very high down to low cargo, precious metals, weapons and ammo, vehicles, vegetables, toys and games, textiles, prepared food, wood, precision equipment, plastics, paper products and books, antiques, machinery, live animals, hides and leather, furniture, chemicals, ceramics and glassware, metal ore, and minerals and byproducts. That was all the legal cargo you guys could have taken. In terms of illegal cargo, so that bloke you spoke to in the melon market.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so you could have actually gotten more illegal work. So there was fugitives, workers, but essentially they would have been slaves, artifacts, general goods, alcohol, drugs, medicine and hygiene products, sex toys, and foodstuffs, controlled foodstuffs. But to get more information on those, you would have had to do a check. Say, for example, the workers would have been culture, sense motive, profession, con artist, or smuggler. And the information is builders going to a better life, but they are paid a pittance and worked hard. So it's oh yeah, can you transport these workers for us? But then if you did a check to get some insight on it, it would have been oh, this is actually unlawful. It pays very well, but it's very unlawful,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like people trafficking.
That is trafficking.
It was definitely,
100%.
yeah, it definitely was.
Really not, say what you will about Burzen, but he's not into people trafficking.
Yeah. But what I will say is this stuff wasn't wasted because it helped me build the world in my mind. So even if we didn't use any of this stuff, like, I don't care because I then understood what kind of world it was. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, couple of quick fire ones, Tom. How big and how much action did you have planned for the mall before we completely bypassed everything? So just to remind everyone, we had been building up to the mall. We discovered there was a ship there. It was a hell of a journey. There were grappling hooks involved. And then we basically pitched up to the mall, had a squiz, saw an army of zombies and went, yeah, we might just go through the roof. Which I thought was epic from you, Dan. I think it was you, Dan, that came up with that idea.
It was Ben's idea.
No,
It was Ben.
It was Ben's idea. Sorry, Ben.
It's all right.
Dan gets enough credit, but
He does.
Ben,
But not
great
enough
idea.
blame. But yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So true.
Well, he's had his fair share.
Anyway,
No, he
Mark,
doesn't. He just
yeah,
passes
how much
it off
action
to
to
me.
make
Tom?
this a quick fire question. There was a bandit gang that was holed up in the mall. So had you gone into it and tried to get anything, you would have encountered resistance pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
From both zombies and bandits.
Less so zombies because they would have had the area under control, and it would have been you guys fighting actual bandits, which you hadn't at that point in the game. You hadn't done that
that's
much.
interesting.
I mean, the only
So-
reason
That is interesting.
we would have stayed is to get much needed armor. And
Yeah, exactly.
right.
we didn't.
Yeah, so there was no way of
Armor,
getting this armor without
munitions.
having a massive battle.
Yeah, all those loot drops that would have happened. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for
Sucks to be
bypassing that one.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because we were in the mall and we had access to essentially just about anything, and then we left and we're like, oh, we've got no money. Where could we possibly have gotten the supplies we need to assault Xander Calderon?
gee, I don't know.
Right. Just head back.
So next question. This is a good one. I've been wondering about this. It's minor detail, but as we were driving overland on Tabard Minor, we came across a vending machine or food generator in a truck.
Yep.
We came across a gun store that we tried to get into and failed miserably.
Yep.
There was a delivery truck involved as well. Like, you were clearly setting us up with little carrots to engage with. Like, what would have happened if we engaged with those
And we were
carrots?
just like,
Vending machine, nothing. I just thought
Yeah.
it was a funny thing. If it was, it's like a replicator essentially, like in Star Trek. But it's like
Yeah.
if no one's maintaining it, what would happen to it? It just keeps making food, and it's just like overflowing. I just thought it was funny, and it turned into a much bigger thing than I intended. The delivery truck, if you had have opened it up, there definitely would have been some loot in there. We're talking armor upgrades, personal upgrades, like all that sort of stuff. So no weapons and armor, but there would have been like a lot of
like
upgrades.
items and
all
cool shit.
that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. It would have been full of all that.
If only someone
The
wasn't
gun
shooting
store?
off random.
No. That happened well after we'd gone past the delivery truck. Thank you very much.
Okay.
The
Listen
gun
back.
store. You guys would have been able to arm yourselves up. Not like some crazy weapons, but you probably would have been able to upgrade each of your weapons and maybe get like some heavy artillery, some explosives, that sort of stuff.
Grenades and stuff.
Yeah. And it's like it
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have been a fight to the death with the guy inside as well. He probably would have surrendered. So
Yeah. Okay. So, Tom, were you happy with the overall tone of the campaign, and how pissed off with us were you for our hijinks and our refusal to take things seriously?
I think there was definitely moments where I did get annoyed when you guys weren't taking things kind of seriously. Certainly, I did. But I think I managed to ram through enough seriousness. Like you'll probably actually notice there's a shift after, I think probably like after episode like maybe like 16 or 18 or something, I start to lighten up a little bit because like I knew like all of this really bad shit was coming, and I kind of just wanted to keep the world like a little bit darker, a little bit dull sort of thing.
A little more grim. Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of just ease into it a little bit more. Yeah, but I mean, you can't be, pissed off and be like, fuck you guys. But was I, yeah.
Take my game more seriously.
Was it what
I didn't want it
happened?
to
Like,
be grimdark, you know what I mean? But I would have appreciated, sometimes, like, fewer jokes, yeah.
Aww.
Early on, I think.
fun police.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. What if we just said no and went off and did something else?
Would have been a pretty short campaign.
Yeah. Thought as much. The other planets that we delivered stuff to, could we have spent more time exploring them?
Maybe, but I don't know how much there would have been for you to find there, you know?
Yeah.
It seemed pretty hand-wavy when we were going through it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you delivered, so you get this money.
Maybe something interesting. Like if you had have done something
you get this
illegal,
money and then you have to spend like 40% of it on maintaining the ship.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
In the Ferrari fight, was the plan to curse Burzin? And do you mean curse Burzin instead of Deacon?
100%.
I think he said on mic he wanted to curse Burzin.
No, I thought I would end up doing that. My intention was not to curse any single player. The intention of Ferrari was whoever was giving him the most trouble and was nearby when he decided to do that, that's who he was going to go after. Part of me assumed that it was going to be Sawbones, but I didn't realize how up close and personal Deacon was going to be in that fight.
I must admit, it did feel like when we combined the invisibility and the haste circuit and all of those sorts of things, that it was a bit of a Sawbones killer that you designed there. Like all of those are things that would have muted Sawbones' ability to kind of like constantly keep distance and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, pretty much. He had a lot of he was very mobile and he could do a lot of damage. Yeah, pretty dangerous fight. But yeah, in terms of like if I was making a list, I thought top of the list would have been Burzin because he had the melee stuff. Second would have been Sawbones. And honestly, tied last would have been Deacon and Astra.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that it was Deacon because I feel like Deacon had this really that whole sequence we did afterwards to get him uncursed.
The dream
like he had
sequence
this really
was
rich
fantastic.
backstory to draw from. Whereas I feel like he would have been thin pickings if it was Sawbones.
If it was Burzin,
I never wrote a backstory.
It could have been his relationship with Barry.
Just as a quick little side note there, that whole dream sequence thing was Daniel's idea.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Mm. I mean, it's always doing, and like this comes from like 90s X-Men cartoons, but like exploring people's inner psyche, like physically, like going in there and doing it is something that always interests me. And the fact that you can do that sort of stuff reasonably easily in these kind of games is super cool.
All we needed was a musical episode to really complete the the 90s sitcom kind of arc.
Man, that'd be a cool curse.
And a clip show. Yeah, a musical curse.
Clip show. We needed a clip show. Maybe this is the clip show.
This is the clip
show. All right, this is pretty specific. In the early campaign, we fought the spookfish goblins, and the question is, Captain Reed, what would have happened if the spookfish goblins had boarded and taken the cargo? Would Ferrari still have offered us the planet-killing delivery jobs?
There is no way you guys would have lost that fight.
Oh. Okay.
Because they were all little bitches, right? Even though
they're goblins.
Fancy dogs.
It's even like if they boarded you still would have wiped the floor with them.
Yeah.
You were not losing that fight straight up.
Yeah, that's why I was so confused when everyone was like, "Let's run!" And I was like,
I was just naive.
Well, that's from an RP thing. But just to, like as an aside, if you had of, then it might have been, maybe you would have been exposed to the true power of Ferrari. It's like you find out that those, goblins are fucking crucified in the markets of Akaton or some shit. And it's like, fuck, who's this guy?
Yeah.
For anyone that
don't
goes
mess with Ferrari.
back, for anyone that goes back to listen to those episodes again, I just want to confess that when we were in that fight, I still did not know how to play the biohacker character to the extent where I didn't realize that the needles that came out of my needler pistol do actual damage to players. I had just thought they just imparted biohacks. And so basically I thought I was this weak little like character that only buffed and debuffed. And so that was part of the reason why I dropped the smoke bomb and turned and ran, because I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm a
I
totally
can't do anything here. Yeah.
defensive character. Yeah. It was a real eye-opening experience when I realized that my bullets actually did damage.
Well, because didn't you have the needler pistol and another pistol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a sniper rifle or some shit for a while.
No, that's right. When I first built my character, I had the needler pistol and a sniper rifle, and I took a weapon specialization in sniper pistols. So I fully thought I was going to be playing like a long-range character that was buffing and debuffing and then sniping. Which would have been pretty cool if I'd stuck with it, but the sniper mechanic just wasn't going to work.
It's hard to be a sniper in these kind of games, though, because, like, generally the battlefield, maybe it's, I don't know,
you have to have a kind
squares.
GM, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's too dynamic as well. Like, in order to be a sniper, you really have to, like, move,
be in one spot.
and then set up, and then shoot. Like, so you basically waste 2 turns before you can shoot.
Yeah, like full
and
action.
By that time, you know, you got someone all up in your grill. All right, next question. How badass were the 2 clones in the launch pod that Sawbones cracked open in the second to last episode?
They were essentially the fancy boy zombies, but hit harder.
Yeah. Ben.
So we could have taken them.
Could have taken them. Maybe
Sure,
one or 2
it just
character
would
deaths
have
only.
depleted
Yeah.
resources.
Ben, did Tiny have any other names planned for his zombie minions? Sebastian and Shelford were very funny.
There are going to be more. The cool thing about that spell is you can cast it
You just keep
again.
doing
And
it,
I did the
yeah.
math, and I was like, oh, I can have 10 minimum at that level, and then the higher level I got, the more of them I could have. And it was like
Michonne.
yeah, it was just going to be like a little swarm that we could control, which I was very excited about because I thought like, oh, it'd be so just like to whoever did this to just have to fight an army of zombies too, and then we'd all just be chilling in the ship. Imagine them with top hats. That'd be pretty cool, you know. Like,
Loved
just
loved
fun.
the whole
Opus
top
opulence.
hat spa
Yeah.
bit
Oh,
in the
That was
Excelsior.
hilarious.
What was the name of the ship again?
Opus opulence.
Yeah.
Opus Opulence.
Yeah.
Like everything's
That
a
was a good
monocle
bit.
and a top hat.
Yeah.
Cigars.
That was
yeah.
That's very funny.
What would have happened if Burzin lost his battle outside Leia's apartment?
Prison break, baby.
That would have been fun.
Disappointment.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Disappointment. I would have loved to do a prison break.
He would have had to have somehow gotten a message to us that like he was in prison.
Leia would have told you.
Yeah, it's all over the news.
But hey, Burzin was too busy wrecking those dudes.
That fight went so well for you.
Yes,
It really
incredibly well for me. It was ridiculous.
Fire extinguisher
right.
was amazing.
Yeah, the fire
Yeah, that
extinguisher
was-
bit was pretty good. If I do say
Solid.
so myself.
What was with the black star knife, Tom?
It was cursed. Yeah. Because the star knife is the weapon of Desna. But the Yosoki priest actually said it to you guys that Ferrari didn't follow any one god. He was actually drawing on powers from multiple ones, and that's why he was
Whatever
so
works best for him.
dangerous and volatile. Yeah. You know, because like he had there was a Yosoki god that was providing him that invisibility thing. It was like a star knife of Desna, but it had been corrupted, and he had access to certain spells that were like really fucked up. So essentially it was cursed, and yes, you could have gotten, had you taken the time to sit down and actually study it and everything like that, you potentially could have gotten control over it. But yeah, it would have taken time. So
All right. You happy with that, Murray?
Yeah.
What was the plan if we had rammed the biodome? Which was a missed opportunity. I would have enjoyed that immensely,
Yeah.
I feel.
Your ship would have crashed in the biodome, and you know when I said before about Tabred Minor and differing timelines,
Yeah.
if you had have gone in through the biodome, whether it crashed or otherwise, there would have been a creature that you would have needed to fight, like a large, probably a
Plant-based
Brassinia,
creature or something.
which I would have buffed it up because that was the one that was actually on
The tea
Cassinas.
planet. Cassinus, yeah.
There's
Oh.
Vracinea.
What's a Vracinea? Like is it a plant-based creature or is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it uses uses confusion and it draws you towards it and stuff. It's pretty nasty.
Wow.
That would have been cool. We did the sniper one instead. That was cool.
Yeah. Sniper one was pretty good.
That was fun. I'm glad we did that.
Tom, what would have happened if we let the interdimensional gate open? Was that just like game fail?
Okay, well, I guess that kind of, because I don't think there's any questions about this. So in terms of the ship itself and being on the ship, you guys sabotaged the engines. I guess had that opened, essentially it was like a portal to like the plane, like the hell plane.
Yeah.
And so it would have been like demons and like all sorts of fucked up shit coming through.
But
like
wow.
But I think that battle would have taken place at Absalom.
Yeah.
If you allowed that to happen. Had you guys not shut down the engines, here we go, I'm burying this really cool thing like right in like 2 hours into this. Had you guys not shut down the engines, I had very much planned for episode title, The Battle for Absalom Station.
Oh, that would have been
And it would have been like an
cool.
episode of Doom with hell spawn creatures coming out.
Well, and like the zombies and well, like so there would have been a choice you guys had to make was go like stop the zombies or stop the portal.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have done both. Essentially, you wouldn't have had time. And so if you shut down the portal, you're stopping Launder, you're stopping the demons and everything. But then all of the zombies get down on Absalom. So then you have to go down and help with the defense of Absalom Station.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think we would have
2000?
picked? I feel like I would have picked the hell zombie
Yeah.
thing. I would have been in that camp. Stop them.
Stop the portal.
Yeah.
Stop
What do you think, Bob?
Stop the other dimension from coming through to our dimension.
Yeah.
Murray?
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yes, I would have gone the
actually.
hell should not be on Absalom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it seems fairly easy when you say it like that. Yeah. You agree,
Well,
Ben?
good thing we stopped the
Same,
engines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although that would have
Um,
what you just said, Tom, sounds fucking cool as shit. So
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
kinda
I feel like we
disappointed this
chose the
didn't
most
happen.
boring option after hearing those ones. I almost want to go and play that again. All right, next question. Did anyone have any backup characters prepared? My answer is I barely managed to prepare Sawbones before we played, so no, I do not have any backup characters prepared.
Daniel, keep
I
it to
did.
one, please.
I did. No, I only had
Keep it
one
to one.
prepared.
Okay, great.
I had FRNK 646, who is an SRO soldier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could have called him Frank.
Ben, did you just whip Deacon out of your back pocket?
Yeah, I got to use mine.
Okay.
No, I didn't have him. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't prep it. I wouldn't have. Yeah.
If I was going to prep a character, I would have prepared a Witch Warper. Like I was seriously considering Witch Warper versus Biohacker when I was setting Sawbones up. And if I did, it would have been a Witch Warper. Murray?
Yeah.
I did not have a character prepared, but I would love to play a Solarian. That would be very fun.
Yeah.
Solarians are so cool.
Yeah, I'm yet to. Yeah, I want to do it.
You got to
played
play.
Solarian?
You got to play a beefcake character in your next campaign. I think, Bob. Like you got to be a killing machine.
I'm actually really looking forward to the build for the next one.
Yeah.
Excited.
You can really be a killing machine in
Yeah.
Starfinder.
Could be an actual
Yeah.
machine that kills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally an android. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
What other mischief, Tom, could we have made on the ship? And I assume this is relating to the ship at the end, the meat ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meat ship.
Not much. Again, that was part of a very narrative decision to make it very simple, single purpose, not expecting a small team to come in and fuck shit up.
But
Yeah.
like it really felt like they had a real skeleton crew on board.
They did. There was
Literally.
like,
Cause like
Yeah,
Because,
literally.
like, the-
why would they need them?
I did mean that, guys.
It's good.
Because like, and I think I said it on the podcast, like they weren't expecting anyone to just rock up and start sabotaging shit or fucking shit up. They thought they were in the clear. So
Yeah,
like,
man.
there was a total of like maybe less than 20 crew on the ship, and then all of the zombies, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think if you guys did engage in the battle for Absalom Station, there was potential for a space battle happening outside where the Eoxian ships try to come to join the battle to drop off troops and like do their part. But yeah, that would have happened as well. Like very Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Battle of Endor type deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Tom, how did you plan for us to get out of the museum?
I didn't.
What do you mean by this, Murray?
Well, we got out of the museum through where we parked the car, like the truck, right? And that's where we got swarmed and totally fucked over, right? We lost 2 of our characters.
Yeah.
So that was obviously, that was a bad call. So, like, what was the actual... Was there an alternative, or was it just our timing was bad, or our roles were bad, or, like, it went really badly?
All right. If I may direct your attention to my stream.
Yep. Oh, this is your hotspot.
You will see the heat map that I was talking about before.
Oh, wow.
So as you can see, the Planetary Museum is right in the middle of a red zone, surrounded by orange, which is then surrounded by yellow. So I guess to answer the question, there was no good way out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
okay.
got lucky getting in there because you drove like over like a bit of an overpass and but getting out, very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So just on this, like looking at the map, was there any reason or did you prepare anything for any of these other locations?
Only on an as-needed basis, man.
Yeah, okay.
The zoo.
So this is one for all the players. How
All
did
the
everyone
players
feel
out
about
there.
or the players on the stream? How did everyone feel about their character development and arcs? Do you think you finished the campaign a significantly different character to how you started? And I'm going to start with Ben because he literally finished the campaign as a different character to how he started.
Yeah, a little. I don't know. I felt like Deacon didn't have as much. I mean, like his main arc was realizing that the stuff he was using had like a real purpose rather than just weird visions and shit. But yeah, I thought there was some character development there with him. I thought Tiny was on the road to something. I don't know what. But it would have been fun to see where he got.
It did feel like Tiny was going somewhere, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I think the path it was going was he was getting into like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, this is how you radicalize someone. You just, you know. Yeah. I think he was starting to get down to be like, let's just, if we're murdering stuff, let's murder it all. Like, fucking, it would have been a different Tiny, I think. I don't know.
Full terrorist mode.
I don't know.
Jeez.
I think for Sawbones, I don't know how you guys felt, but I don't think Sawbones had a huge arc. Like, I feel like Sawbones was quite a consistent kind of baseline character almost through the whole thing. Like, definitely got more confident and definitely kind of was in his pocket through the whole campaign, if you know what I mean. Like, I think he knew his place and he was playing it, but I don't think Sawbones had a huge kind of character development and arc, but I kind of didn't mind that at all. Like, I feel like if we're all on these massive journeys and all sort of doing our own thing, that might have been hard. I kind of liked that Sawbones was fairly kind of reliable and predictable through the thing. I don't know if that came across to everyone else.
Yeah. He was the rock, right? He and he was the mediator in most circumstances where like other people might have, like, there might have been tensions between other characters, but he was always like very neutral.
Yeah.
And generally very positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked Sawbones.
Sawbones is good. I'm a fan. Mari, what did you think of Astra's arc?
I think I would have liked her to have been more assertively good after the Tiny thing. I think to begin with, once Tiny died, I had made the conscious choice to be the voice of good, and the person that keeps the team on the right track. And I feel like I kind of lost that after a few episodes. So I think I would have liked to have pushed that slightly more. I think she did become more assertive and more
She definitely
sure
became
of
more
herself.
assertive.
Yeah, she was a bit of a closed mouth beginner and didn't say very much, and told Burson what she thought of him a lot, which she would not have done in the beginning at all. Like that was definitely not something she couldn't have done that. That was against what she thought. It was very much an internal monologue for that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think she had a fair amount of character growth. I think she had a very emotional journey out of everybody. She got attached to all the other characters a lot more than I think Sorbo's or Burson did.
Yeah.
Tiny
That's not
was... Well, at least from Astra's point of view, it sort of kind of felt like is that, she got really emotionally attached to, Burson was the father figure, and then Tiny was her voice of reason, and Brandon was, her sort of spiritual little brother that she was trying to get on the right track, and all these people in her life that she's trying to bond to after losing her parents. Like she felt really emotional about that sort of stuff. So she definitely had an emotional journey, but whether or not that was a developmental arc, probably, I think so. It just didn't kind of go where I thought it would. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Sawbones and Astra didn't have enough time together, if you know what I mean, in the campaign. Like it would have been quite cool for us to actually play with that dynamic a little bit more, because Sawbones was so anti-religious, just didn't so scientifically rooted, and Astra was so the opposite. Like we probably could have lent into that a little more. In the campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, because the way I was trying to portray Burson was like, there's a lot of bravado.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this doesn't faze me. I'll get through this. I've seen tougher things, blah, blah, blah. And then when Tiny and Brandon died, it kind of broke him a little bit. And he became really unsure of himself. Because Saren Ray was a big part of his childhood. And one of the key tenets there is redemption. So then I thought he was really just looking for redemption through all of the mistakes he's made through his life to that point, which is part of why he was so quick to push Astra out of the way and take that responsibility. There's a way to redeem the choices that he's made. And he wasn't about to lose another compatriot, I guess.
I do really like what you did with Burson in those few episodes after Tiny died and Brandon died. Like the way there was some real tangible self-doubt, and you even took a voluntary
shaken
debuff
condition.
Shaken. That's right, which I really, really liked. It felt like you were leaning right into that.
Yeah, well, because I don't know, it's just a way of kind of modeling in some PTSD from his past experiences.
Yeah,
I don't know. From the start, I wanted him to have this history that wasn't all roses, but he still has people he's connected to. So he's been through some shit, but he just tries to keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, so they're the questions from the crew.
Yeah. Well, that's I think that's about it. So we got through your questions, got through fan questions. So that wraps up season 1 of Star Raiders.
End of an
in terms
era.
of an end of an era. Yeah. So it's a year and change. Well, about a year and a half in terms of actual recording. In terms of releases, yeah, about a year and a little bit. So one of the things was season 2. Now,
yes.
Well, there. What I will say is, anybody who listens to the Arcane Focus Network or anything knows we got a lot going on, and we try to produce a lot of stuff. And I guess creating something like Star Raiders is actually a significant time investment, and it's been amazing over the past year. I wouldn't change a thing. However, over the next 6 to 12 months, we're actually going to be launching 2 new shows. Ben is going to be running What's My Role Season 2, Campaign 2. And Daniel is going to be running a brand new Pathfinder 2nd Edition show of Moons and Men. I'm going to be playing in both of those. And so recording and doing a third show isn't quite in the schedule at this point in time. Additionally, all of us have lives outside of this. We don't get paid for this. It's something we do for fun. And so there was always a plan for a Star Raiders season 2, and I mean, you guys know what it is, what the concept is, and Mari even started building her character. Good, Mari. Good job, Mari.
I've taken
homework.
Notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact is, we just can't juggle that many shows. So I'll take this opportunity to say that Star Raiders is going on a little bit of a hiatus for probably minimum of 6 months, and it will return in the future. In the meantime, we have a bunch of one-shots that we have recorded in playing in the Starfinder system that we are going to release over time. And as well, in the meantime, we're just going to use the channel for, experimenting a little bit, trying out, again, just some one-shots, some official published ones, some homebrew ones. Just all sorts, really. So the feed will stay live. Stay tuned. But in terms of another long campaign, it's going to be a little while before something kicks off about that. But that being said, definitely check out the other 2 shows. We're going to be probably launching them ideally early next year, early 2023, which was you can find info for both of those on the Arcane Focus Network website. So, yeah.
Now, if you don't like what you just heard, and you want Starfinder and Star Raiders to continue immediately, here's what I want you to do. Get on Twitter. Or Twitter is probably the easiest if it's whatever.
If it's still around.
Yeah.
If
Elon Musk hasn't driven it into the ground
get on Twitter
aggressively.
or Reddit or
OnlyFans?
Facebook, and I want you to communicate with us and tell us a quote, Tom's wrong, Star Raiders must
Tom's
go
wrong.
on, hashtag bring back Star Raiders. Now, if you do that, I guarantee you, we will adjust this timeline. So get in there,
good.
comment and share it, bring it out. The more people that listen, the more people that talk about it, the more we feel like there's a community that we're building here, and we'd like to engage with it. So, and a big thank you to everybody who wrote questions here and sent them out. That it touched all of our hearts. It was wonderful to see, and to see people listening and engaging with it. It's already beautiful.
Yeah.
But I want you to prove Tom wrong. Get that campaign earlier. Tell him how wrong he is. As listeners, you have the power.
Absolutely.
Bring it back.
Well, thanks guys for sticking around for that 3-hour chat. It was it was great just to kind of hang out and record, and just without the structure of an episode. There, it was quite nice. Thanks everybody
no rolls.
for no
having
rolls.
Like issues with the hand here. I just
was
want
about
to
to
pick
reach
up
for
the
a
dice,
but I don't have any here.
I love roller
do.
dice.
All away.
Yeah.
So before we go,
With the
just want to
sage.
say a really big thank you to everybody who's been listening. We look at the stats for the podcast, and we can see that people are listening and enjoying the show. We're really glad that you do. And if there's something in particular you like about it, just write in, let us know what you liked. We always love to hear feedback. But otherwise, thanks for being a really supportive community. And
thank you.
As well, thank you to you guys as players for being awesome and
thank you,
making
Tom.
this show a success. I'll stop it.
Oh, you.
But I think that's about it for our wrap, and we will leave our episode there for today.
Thanks, guys.
Whoa, that last one.
For season 1.
Yeah.
Star Raiders is an Arcane Focus Network production. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. You'd be amazed how much it helps us spread the word. Looking for more adventure? Head to arcanefocusnetwork.com.